there. Welcome to Real Talk with ASL and Anna. Hi, Anna.
Hey,
Yay. Great to have you as always, my sweet co host.
you too, my
Welcome.
love.
Thank you. We have got to talk for sure. I miss few words every once in a while. It's kind of important that I focus. Didn't know
It's
you
all
were.
right. It happens. I skim too, so don't worry about
I'm
it.
terrible. Well, our life always include anything you think is newsworthy about racism, anti-racism, bigotry, inequality, and corruption. Do not even get me started on the corruption part in the United States of America. Um, the show is meant to be an opportunity for viewers to speak their mind and to serve as an educational tool and cultural competency with a focus on learning the truth about systemic racism in the US. And today's show is going to be a little bit shorter than usual. I will put up after we do a short video. There is the call-in number. So we have call-in number right there, and I wanted to thank everybody who keeps breaking news. And if you have breaking news, I would love to see it because I cannot keep up with this insanity. I host a Facebook page, a YouTube channel, a Patreon, a Vimeo, Immigrant, Instagram, and Twitter, and yeah, a lot. So I am all over the place. I need your help. And so the phone number's up there. Here, welcome, Ronald. Yay! Thanks for being here. We're gonna have a shorter show today, so anyone who wants to say something, has got to say something soon. We're going to do tonight's topic's kind of intense. At least it was for me. Tonight's topic, Anna and I will be speaking about the unwritten rules used by Black and Brown people to navigate white spaces and to prove they're worthy of existence. Honestly, I'm not exaggerating when I say that's what it seems like in my mind. They have to prove they're worthy of existence. It's like that's how bad systemic racism is. And if you're a new person and don't really like know a ton about it, you might think, oh, that lady. No, exaggerating one. I mean, I might be under exaggerating. It's ludicrous. It's anyway. Don't get me started. So I am happy to be here tonight. If you know anyone who wants to watch a show, bring them on. I know it's beautiful summer night in many places, but we're gonna have a good, very candid discussion. So I want you to join in and tell me what you think. And definitely Anastasia is gonna hopefully tell it, because I know anyone who's a close friend of mine who goes through this. I know details, and this is sick shit. Just saying. I'm going to introduce the topic by reading a piece before we get started. This piece of writing was adapted from a book that I think I better read. I read this thing and I was like, dang, it's a book called Black in White Space: The Enduring Impact of Color in Everyday Life. And it's by a man named Elijah Anderson. And I thought it was older book, but who knows? So tonight's topic is strategies Black and Brown people use in their daily lives to navigate white spaces, so they can simply be treated with some equity and equality. So they're treated better than everybody else, which I think would be kind of nice. But nope, it's just to have what everyone else has, for the most part. So
Uh, Can
um,
I interject into that?
absolutely interrupt right before I do it.
Not
Yeah,
to have right, not to have what everybody else has. To live,
mm-hmm,
because
mm-hmm.
the fact of the matter is a small indiscretion, a small, societal mess up,
Mm-hmm.
you will be killed. Okay. Or your that's
Right,
my
right. Yes,
daughter. That's my daughter right there.
Shanti.
You will be killed. Your whole town can be burned to the ground. And it has happened. and it won't even be a mistake of
It's purposeful.
a Black person.
Right. You didn't have to do anything.
You don't have to do
your
anything. You could
existence.
actually be successful.
Mhm.
And that's the reason why they kill you and your entire family.
Right. Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Or run you off. Or I did a special video once, and I'm not sure if you saw it or not. You probably did, on how many towns were not burned down, but people were run out of town, in the sense that don't you ever come back or we'll kill you. Thousands and thousands. And we never hear about that in our history books.
Forsyth County, where Marjorie Taylor Greene is from,
Mm-hmm.
that they purged Black people.
Why am I not shocked in the
Yes.
least?
Oprah did a show there. And yeah, Oprah did a show there. That's where Marjorie Taylor Greene is from. That's why I'm not shocked about any of her her disgusting thought process, because
doesn't show much, does it?
Yeah, exactly.
Not. She's not. She is I'm sorry, an embarrassment to the human race. I just don't even I actually I saw her, the person who's running against her, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna give him money. She's not even in my state. She represents just vile. It's really sad. But yeah, no, definitely. Les, welcome. My friend Les is famous on TikTok. So if you want to follow him, welcome, Les. So I'm going to do this as a quick paragraph that this guy wrote from his book, and it's fantastic. It's like an intro to what we're doing tonight. And again, it's going to be a quick show. So I hope people are jumping on in if they want, because it'll be quick. So this man writes, this performance can be as deliberate as dressing well, speaking in an educated way, or simply producing an ID or a driver's license in situations in which white people would never have to do this. In public white spaces such as upscale shops or restaurants, many Black people take this sort of thing, sort of racial profiling, in stride. They expect it. They treat it as a fact of life, and they try to go about their business, hoping to move through the world uneventfully. White salesmen, security guards, and bouncers repeatedly approach Black people with a disingenuous question: may I help you? It's more like, may I help you? Like in shock. The tone.
What are you doing here?
What are you doing here? Oh, yeah. What are you doing here? There we go. The tone and voice and the circumstances, are sounding like they're offering help, but they're not. It's ominous. It's not good. A more subtle but critical version of this kind of profiling occurs in the typical workplace. From the janitor to a middle-level manager, Black people, until they've established themselves, live under the tyranny of the performance. And he explains, around the office building, the Black male worker comes to be known publicly as the Black guy in my building. And if there are a few such Black guys working there who roam the premises, white workers will sometimes confuse one for the other, occasionally misidentifying the person by name. Probably the most important finding in my new book, Black in White Spaces, is the conception of the iconic ghetto. The netherworld to which white people typically relegate anonymous Black people in public spaces, and especially in white spaces. In civil society, this iconic ghetto hovers over the anonymous Black person, always in the background, the most ordinary public encounters between races, during which Black people are burdened with a deficit of credibility that they are required to disprove, erase, or neutralize before gaining even provisional trust with their white counterparts. Moreover, white people typically avoid Black spaces, but Black people must navigate white spaces as a condition of their existence. Black people now inhabit all levels of class and occupational structure. They attend the best schools, pursuing the professions of their choosing, and occupy various positions of power, privilege, and prestige. But for these people, in the shadows lurks the specter of ghetto. It is always in the background, shaping the dominant white society's conception of the anonymous Black person, as well as the circumstances of Black people in all. So I will be reading that book. I thought that was very, very intense and profound, and What say you, ma'am?
So I mean, I don't have to read a book to know that
Right.
when you're given the talk. I mean, of course, I think it was Pantene or one of those shampoos or lotions. They made a commercial about it. And the fact of the matter is that every black person I know, I'm not saying it's in the aggregate, gets the talk. And basically is don't embarrass me in front of these white folks. And when we have our children, it's generational trauma because
Mhm.
the reason why they're telling you that Emmett Till and George Stinney are examples of what happens whether black children are in black spaces, black children are in white spaces. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
That they can and will be killed for nothing, or if they do something that a child does, they can be killed. And people need to understand that when we discipline our children the way we do, that is generational trauma. And we, in certain cases, are bad copies of our oppressor. Just imagine I was watching something and they were saying, imagine where did you get going to get a switch off a tree so I can beat you? Was that who you were prior to enslavement? No, that was taught. And the reason why, whether you believe in the Willie Lynch letter, what's going on, Brazil, love it.
Brazil. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
Sweet.
the thing about it is that we have taught. I mean, I still up until a certain point sit down, be quiet, don't ask for nothing, don't touch nothing. And I'm gonna tell you, it's not even a short story. Amazon Fresh. I refuse to go into an Amazon Fresh. And I just recently started self checkout
Can I ask
because,
you a quick question?
yes,
For those of us who have what is that?
Amazon Fresh is a store that you go into
Okay.
and you don't like, you just go in, you pay for the food before you get there. And yeah, you just go in the store and pick the food up
Oh.
and walk out the store.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, I'm not going in there. I just feel like that's another way to arrest black people and
Can you
non-white
elaborate? Could you elaborate? Like, what's different about, like, if you don't mind? Because I don't know.
because there's no checkout. Is you going in there with
Oh,
a basket, putting stuff in your cart,
like
and
the
then
honor system or whatever.
right,
The
right. You supposedly what I'm saying to you is SNL did a skit on it, and I'll send it to you.
Mhm.
But self checkout is even sus to me because it's like they're watching you, but they're not watching you. And then Walmart, they want to
Oh
check
yeah,
your
you tag at the
receipts.
door.
Yeah, and and the thing about like so the story I was gonna tell you, my husband and I, we went to this, Bay St. Louis. Bay St. Louis is basically a white town or whatever the case may be, right? And so my husband, he was handing me something, like say he had this in his hand, but he didn't hand it to me like here,
Mhm.
so the cashier can see it. He
He
like
just
handed it me at level, and I said, "Don't do that.
oh
Don't do that. That your white privilege does not extend to me,
to you. Hmm.
and I'm not gonna be getting arrested
Right, right.
because of some, bougie notebook or whatever the case may be."
So you're
That
saying, Anastasia, you're saying it's a setup for
yes,
to do something horrible to you.
yes,
Gotcha.
yes, all day long, and it may not even be a setup. It's just the fact that it's too many things that I've seen where people can say, "Oh, you stole something," and it's like, what are you talking about? Stole what? While the white person back here has
Just
their whole bag filled. And the thing about it's a study that shows that white people
absolutely.
steal more than black people, but because, or at the same rate, but because you're concentrating on this black person, this white person, then I mean, and what the last thing I was gonna say,
Mm-hmm.
the thing about Amazon Fresh, there's a skit on from SNL about it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Also, it's a movie called "Don't Be About Society" while drinking juice in the hood. It's a comedy, but they talk about that, how a white man goes in, robs the place, but the storekeeper is watching the
Right. The people call their
the
black people.
black
Yeah.
person.
That person's stuffing
Right,
stuff in their jacket. And
right,
right.
right,
Yeah,
right.
no,
Exactly.
absolutely. No, I hear you. Eight, Optimum Power says shopping while black. Yep.
Yes.
Existing while black. It doesn't
Yes.
matter where a black or brown person is. It doesn't matter what they're doing. If they're doing
No.
like something an angel would do, like, you know, Mother Teresa stuff, okay? Doesn't matter. They are suspect, and they do not get the benefit of the doubt like white folks do.
Not at all. And
Worse than that,
the thing about it is that it's so, it's not funny like haha funny, but it's so funny like
ludicrous.
Ludicrous that you still walk through this life and can say racism doesn't exist. Like, it's one, like in the army used to say that nobody's a thief. It's just one thief and everybody's just trying to get their stuff back. So there's just one racist. Yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah,
It's just one racist and going around terrorizing everybody. You know what I'm saying?
An analogy for that would be, yeah, there's one thief going around and everybody else benefits from it, and everybody else is aiding and abetting them.
Correct.
So yeah, right. Wow.
Correct.
That's a toughie. That's a real toughie. Well, what I loved about this man's excerpt from his book, I'm assuming, is that I felt it. He explained it so well, and it made me just say, damn, you know? It was like, I knew, it's not like he was teaching me something new. It was the way he did it. It was wrought with the true drudgery of what it is. Like the weight, the bearing for a white person, that is. I don't know how you feel about it, but that's, as a white person, that's what I really liked his writing. I think white people would read this and say, wow. Well, I mean, they should.
White people are not going to read Angry Soccer Mom. And I'm going to tell you, the fact of the matter is, let's be clear, since we talk about the truth.
Absolutely.
White people, 400s, Europa X people, that's what I've been calling them, Europa X people.
Thanks to you.
They don't, in the aggregate, don't care. And you can tell them, read this book, read this book, read this book. They're not going to do it because the work isn't done for them. Why can't you just tell me what it says? And most of them don't want to do the work. That's why I say I don't waste my time anymore, because I was there at one point in time. Oh, let's read White Fragility, Tim Wise, Jane Elliott. And it's a waste of my time.
And it's not your responsibility. It is not your responsibility. You have to be to have to endure the oppression of society day in and day out, and then come home and teach us at night how to be human. So that's not. Yep. Absolutely. Believe racism still exists. Absolutely. Also, classism is huge. Yeah, they go hand in hand with capitalism. They really
definitely. And this is the thing when you're talking about capitalism and classism. What we got to understand is the iceberg type of situation, right? The fact of the matter is we see these things at the top, but what it is at the heart of it is white supremacy and capitalism. So whatever I have to do to make capitalism work, if I'm gonna use classism, guess what? I'm gonna use that. And that's what happens with white people. Classism is used. With us is racism. with women is sexism, but it all goes back to the fact that you are a commodity. And how do I exploit that said commodity, whatever it may be?
It's a toughie. And I really, it resonates with me what you said about white folks not caring or not reading, because they're certainly not going to read about something they don't care about. And a lot of people criticize my videos and say, you're so emotional in your videos. And I say, damn right I am. Absolutely. And the reason I am is because if not this, then what the hell am I? This is huge. It's an ongoing crime against humanity.
Avocado toast.
Yeah, well, I don't get passionate about that. I've never actually had that. But I mean, I like avocados and I like bread. So, but anyway, yeah, people they say, ASM, you just get people riled up. Damn straight, I try to. Why do you think I try to? Because I want them to effing care. I want them to actually care. Okay.
The thing about it is, ma'am, you're now take what I'm about to say and understand why I'm saying this.
I'm scared.
No, it's nothing bad.
Okay.
But you're not the first.
Right.
This is the thing. Why is it when we teach history that people think white people are going to firstly identify with racist? You identify with John Brown. What I'm saying is they don't want to teach certain things in history because white kids are going to feel bad. So wait a minute, there's John Brown. John Brown was taking it to their butts for the longest. Viola Liuzzi. You know what I'm saying? There's been a lot of white people.
There have always been abolitionists.
Have always been active that were killed. Viola Liuzzi was killed. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? There was a pastor that was killed during the Selma March. Yeah, James Reed.
Right. The Klan doesn't, their number one person they hate is a race traitor.
Right, is a race traitor.
Person, not even a Jewish person. It's a
right. So the thing about it is that we got to look at it and push more. Peter Norman from the 1968 Olympics. Why do you automatically feel that these children or whoever that's learning certain things, and white people are egotistical? So why not? Let's talk about them more. Well, let's talk about John Brown. Let's talk about Viola Liuzzi.
So you're saying they won't. What's your point? Like you're trying to say that they won't talk about certain white people like John Brown, but they'll talk about white people, but they're not the ones that actually. Yeah, they're perfect.
Right. They're not going to talk about the people that actually was in line with indigenous people, in line with Black people, or in line with any other marginalized group, because it smashes the thought process.
Well, white folks do. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I mean, go ahead.
But what it also goes to is how I love how they like to talk about the founding fathers. They didn't know racism was bad. They didn't know slavery was bad. Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did.
They didn't care. Some of them cared, but for the most part, they were cowards. And they were like, well, I'm not going to give up my property. Maybe in the future when we get there, but they knew exactly what they were doing.
Absolutely.
And so, and this is the thing, I can idolize this person without feeling bad about it. And that's what it's about.
Yeah, well, just the premise in and of itself is a lie. Not your premise, but the whole idea that white children will feel bad if they learn this. Give me a break. How about the atomic bomb that was dropped? Do we teach that left and right? Do you feel bad? People, that's baloney. It's the adults that feel bad. It's the parents that feel bad because they know they've done something wrong. Kids, for the most part, are pretty innocent until their parents push them into the generational, generation after generation becoming extremely racist. I can't say for other countries, but where I live, racism is direct, institutionalized, but it's still very direct. I think that for 100 years, there were still slaves that became quite common. Yeah, it's it is. I got to say, it is so different from country to country, but yet it is the same. But there are some extremes in some countries, and some of us don't want to let go of this. And so, great comments. Hey,
well,
Jamie.
what we're talking about with Brazil and most of these countries, the simple fact of the matter is they were colonized. There were indigenous people that were there. There were kidnapped African people that was brought there. But the issue is that a lot of these countries don't want to acknowledge that they had origins from Africans. What's going on, Willow? They don't want to acknowledge that. And so even in like Brazil, Cuba, places where the population is dark, Dominican Republic, the population is dark for the most part. And so, you have Dominicans, I'm not black. You know what I'm saying? Or you have Cubans, I'm no black, I'm not black. And they have their own colorism within that community.
Yep. Yeah, it's really quite a yeah, it's all over. And to what degree? It's very, very interesting. It's I mean, it can't be studied enough. There's just so much going on. But I will say it over and over and over again. There is no way in this earth that children who are white, that's bullshit. That's from their parents. Their parents are the ones who, it's because their parents know they've done wrong. And you know what? Enslaved a human being, but you know what I'm talking about. They know if you're not actively working to dismantle the system, systemic racism, then you are part of the problem.
Right. If you are not in direct collision with racism, you are in collusion with it.
Yep.
Point blank is simple.
Right. See, people say, "Oh, I'm nice to everybody, and I treat everyone the golden rule, treat people the way." Well, that's a lovely thing, and that was actually cherry picked from Martin Luther King Jr. so they could make white people feel really good. Like, I'm nice to everybody, but you see, here's the problem: it's not enough. It's not enough to be nice to everybody, because that will not dismantle a powerful system. So it's complicated, and it's intense, and there's a lot of learning to be done. Mr. F.S. Black, the fact that
Tatiana.
And it was like Tatiana Jefferson's murder had been. Tatiana. Oh gosh, I had been allowed to go 3 years without a trial. Shows the depth of systemic. Absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, there's Mr. Evans, many cases we can say things like that about. I mean, Ahmaud Arbery, they were going to cover it up. The whole community was.
It's always been like that. When Tulsa happened,
right? The whole community,
right? Yes,
like
Tulsa happened.
Yeah,
they did that.
Yeah,
Rosewood happened. They did that,
right.
And this is why I say that the thing with Tatiana is I wasn't outside. I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was in my house in Texas. That's an open carry state. You understand what I'm saying? They got castle laws or, whatever they want to call it. But I'm sorry?
Did you say stand your ground laws type that?
Yeah, like castle laws. You're able to protect your castle.
Protect your castle, right.
And so the fact of the matter is that you're lurking around. You were doing something wrong and she's dead. But then you say she pointed a gun at you. If you don't know somebody's in your yard, how is she supposed to know that?
It's the whole thing is just it is all fabricated for racism. Absolutely. It's Ronald. My question is, are the white folks who don't want to teach real race history going to stop teaching their children to be racist? I'm kind of confused. My sweet friend Ronald, you're not confused one bit. You're very funny. Of course not. We don't want our children to know. We don't want them to know. I can do a top 10. I did a top 10 on this actually, as why we, and there was a lot to it, but I know Your point is well taken.
Facetious.
Because we don't want to. Willow and his direct descendants just went to visit how they could be civil to him. He offered a half-fast apology without admitting their sins and hours of their colonialism. What's she referring to? Because
I think she's talking about King Leopold II from Belgium.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And because the gentleman from Brazil brought him up.
Yeah.
And what I wrote, I guess they flagged it, but he killed more Black people than Hitler killed Jews during that time. He killed like 10 to 15, 20 million people in the Congo, cut arms off, cut legs off.
Is the brutalities out of control. It's oh my goodness.
You never hear about that. And that's the thing. It's always been a Holocaust for Black people, no matter where we've been, in Central America, South America, wherever it is. It's been Argentina. I was Josephine Baker went to Argentina when she was alive, and she went to meet the president or prime minister, and basically she said, well, where are all the Black people? He was like, we're the only two in the country, because systematically they had ran them off, they had killed them, put them as, cannon fodder, and all of these things. So that's why you have a lot of countries that you like, well, where are all the Black people?
Well, look at Russia. No offense intended, but and they want to make it ethno state. It's kind of interesting when you say where all the Black people. When I first started visiting upstate New York in the forest, I was saying to my husband, okay, so like something's missing here. I'd never, because I was from LA and everyone's everywhere. It's, it's not exactly like New York City, but it's very eclectic. And I'm like, it was freaky. When I went to a Chinese restaurant, there were no Chinese people there.
No.
There were white people cooking Chinese food. And I'm like, but I mean, I think that he didn't meet his first real life Black person until he was in like his senior year.
Yeah.
So there's places, I'm telling you, it's scary, but our government's not going to do a thing for us.
No.
It will have to be from the people, or this nation's going down.
Exactly.
Going down, because the government's the instigator. And obviously the people's health.
You cannot be a purveyor of evil and disgusting racism and think that you're going to survive untouched. And this is why I say with these mass shootings, like Malcolm X said, this is the chickens coming home to roost. Your racism and your vitriol against Black people, this is why you want these guns. And now is being used on you and your children. Now, I'm not saying that Black people are unscathed, but most of the time with these active shooter, who are they shooting at? They're shooting at other white people.
Well, it's the majority anyway, but yeah, Willa says the alt-right are moving towards declaring a white state in Idaho and annexing part of Washington. But I mean, I know Oregon was originally a no Blacks allowed state.
Yeah.
I mean, literally that was in the charter. So I'm not shocked at all.
A lot of these states, the reason why, we got to think about it. And I know everybody out there, even I was going to say at one point in time, Idaho, who gives a damn about Idaho? Take it. But you got to look at the reason why they want these states. What do we have in the Midwest?
Potatoes.
The food sources.
I said potatoes.
Right, potatoes. But a lot of the food sources, I mean, they're known for potatoes, but a lot of that is farmland. So they can starve everybody else out. Yeah. So it's very strategic. Washington State, all of these places, you got to look at what's the resource and why do they want it.
I've never taken it that far, but I mean, I suppose
think about it. Think about it. That's the reason why they want it, because if you look at the country, where would you find the cleanest water? You're not going to find it in the city of New York. You're going to find it upstate New York, right? And all of these places, you're going to find water, food, because let's be clear, white people know. So what's the first thing that they do? They bring their own water, they bring their own food. So when you see a Whole Foods being put, what's up, Mahako? When you see a Whole Foods being put up, you know it's almost over.
Interesting. Very interesting. I like your perspective. Is interesting. So tonight what we're doing is we're taking some of the stuff that is almost, it's an unwritten. It's unwritten stuff. At least it's not written for white folks. Okay, and nor should it be. But I feel the need to bring this out tonight. The unwritten rules that individuals make for themselves and for their families. And I don't know if you're comfortable, Anastasia, example. If you're not comfortable, you brought an example about passing something to you in line. If you're not comfortable, then don't say it. But that's exactly what we're talking about tonight.
Yeah, I'm comfortable. Like I said, the fact of the matter is that at a very early age, we are taught to be well behaved, because one slip up, you could be killed. And that's just point blank and simple. There was in the 1980s, there was a young Black child in California. She was buying some juice.
Yes.
And an Asian lady shot her in the back of the head.
Yep. Buying orange juice in LA.
Right, in LA. Yep. And the thing about it, nothing happened to this woman.
It's just before the LA riots and the
right. Yeah. And so the thing about it is that it's not just white people. Trust me, you have white supremacy with a tan. I don't even go into Asian hair shops. I have not gotten my nails done since 2018. Because I refuse.
We teach them, and they want to model after our racism. It's white supremacy, but it's trickle down white supremacy.
Right.
Yeah,
right. Exactly.
It's disgusting. It's
very disgusting.
Yep. So today we're talking about all these things that people do that, as a white person, we might not know about them. Everyone's got their own thing, and I did a video on it because I read an article about a couple of years back, and I really, really felt that white folks need to hear it. So I put it into a video because I didn't think they were going to read it. So can I show that video really fast?
Sounds like a plan.
And then I'd love for people to tell me their own stories. About things that they do. I, as the mother of white children and a black child, I have to tell you, and I'm not happy to say it, but I do things differently. I do. I find myself pushing myself to do things a little differently because I know racist folks and how they look upon Black and brown people, and I believe them. So it's quite the rude awakening for this white woman, that's for sure.
Right. I mean,
oh, go ahead. Here.
It's an awakening for a lot of white people. I know you probably seen James Patterson just said something to the effect of white authors can't get jobs anymore. Who? What are you talking about, sir? What are you talking about? What?
When you've been oppressing for hundreds and hundreds of years, and then all of a sudden you're asked to share the power a little, it probably feels like oppression.
Exactly. Equity is always oppression to the oppression. And yes, See, the Supreme Court just said that if your house is within 100 miles,
Yep. Yeah, how many miles? Was it 100 or 200?
It's 100. It's 100.
100 miles of the border. Basically, the Border Patrol has pretty much carte blanche authority and can do whatever they want with impunity.
Yep, they can violate your 14th Amendment rights.
They can violate your 14th Amendment rights, and you know what? There's no
nothing you can do about it.
Surprise, surprise. Jamie, they have been targeting families who are brown and black. Yes, it's terrible. And they don't even have to. If you aren't pure lily white, they can do whatever they want to you and say, I mean, this is an open door. This is a terrible, terrible, it's a terrible, terrible thing. It's, there are consequences for allowing a monster to become president and let 3 Supreme Court justices.
Yeah, but that's not, see, this is the thing. And I know you go into the video and go to the video.
Well, it's not his fault per se, but he sure as heck didn't help.
The thing about it is, this is the thing. In this country, we always want to think it's not you. I'm just saying in general, it's a small population of people. It's not.
Well, I don't think that.
Yeah, no, I know you don't. I'm just saying
a leader.
In general.
Yeah,
in
they just need a leader. He's their leader. They found their leader.
Right. And they had already been doing these things. It was just that, it's the quiet racism. You're not supposed to, tell those black people that we don't like them. But now, it's like, why should I hide? Why should I hide? And especially when Barack Obama was elected, which I don't even understand why white people were shocked, because he helped more of them than he would have ever helped us.
Well, but we don't care about the truth. We just the image. We don't care. We've talked about this many times.
Yeah.
And we'll go against our best interest. We'll die if it means that black and brown people get less than us. We got this is like some sick psychological shit going on here, people.
Right. White people will always choose whiteness. Always. If they have nothing else. I told you about this. We were handing out food to a homeless shelter. And this white man said something to me. And I'm like, who's out here feeding you? Is it all lives matter or white lives matter? Or is it
something to you? Like, like something snotty about.
He was like, oh, all lives matter. And I, at first I wasn't going to say anything. And because it was all black women. And he was like, all lives matter. And at first, you know how you trying to keep your peace? And then he kept saying it. And I seen them. I was like, wait a minute. First of all,
he's taking food from you?
He was, as he's taking food from us.
Oh my God.
And I was like, is white lives matter out here? Is all lives matter out here? When white people are killed by the cops, where's white lives matter? Where's all lives matter?
We don't give a shit as long as they keep killing black and brown people in higher percentages based on their population. We don't care.
Right. So miss me with your bullshit. Seriously.
That's got to be what a slap in the face. That's obnoxious. That's, I would say, oh, are you trying to say all lives should matter? They're not, but because that's not what you're saying. It's terrible. It's blah, 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 blah. But no, I got you. No, I know Trump and his clan did not start this. They just provided the leadership that many, many were looking for many, many years. And so, yeah.
No, did you see what Mako,
notice how when the man killed those kids in Texas, the folks said nothing about Blue Lives Mattering. Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Are you talking about the children where the 19 police didn't go in? Is that what he's referring to?
Yes, that's what he's talking about.
Yeah. Mako, yeah. Oh, right.
But what happened to the security guard that was killed that used to be a cop? I haven't seen Blue Lives Matter say anything about him.
What about the people at January 6th? The 50, 60, 70 police were injured to the point where they were hospitalized. And that's for sure. You see that one lady testified that she got knocked
Yes.
out cold,
Yep.
got back up and tried to fight when she was
Yep.
knocked out cold, and then finally something else happened to her where she was just wiped out. I mean,
well, it was Antifa or Black Lives Matter.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, we got some major issues, and I mean, it's not news to anyone, but I don't think this nation is going to make it. We're going down. And he was black, so something doesn't count according to white supremacy. He's a cop, and no F's were good. Yeah, I mean, ever since the insurrection, I got to say, thanks, Mahaka. I got it. I'm a little slow, but yeah. Ever since the insurrection, I have not seen this whole Blue Lives Matter thing going. I've seen flags, but I've never seen actual people running their mouth. Blue lives, first of all, there's no such thing as blue lives. Okay, that's a profession. No. It's a choice.
A blue shirt.
Choice for a profession you go into. Okay, choice. What was that?
No, I said it was a blue shirt. And this is what I'm going to say, right, about this. Dr. Neely Fuller Jr. says white supremacy is always on both sides of the argument, right? So this is my whole thing, right, about the January 6th thing. Those were cops. If those were Black Lives Matter, why didn't they shoot them? If that was Antifa, why didn't they shoot them?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, right, okay. The other thing about it is, as you know, I was in the military for 24 years. If I would have said, hey, I know I'm a soldier, but I don't want to get killed in Iraq or Afghanistan or whatever the case may be, what do you think people would have said to me?
You're a coward.
You took a job knowing that death was possible. They train you that death is possible. But you don't, what are you talking about? Make it make sense. The math is not mathing.
Yeah, it's the whole thing. If it was Antifa, Jim Jordan, if it was Antifa or Black Lives Matter people out there, then yeah, I would have felt differently about January 6th, of course. And you know what? It's that is such a joke because it's so obvious. But the other is, the big lie that Trump and all his clan stick to me. They stick to this big lie, yet there isn't a single solitary person on the ballot other than Trump and clan who say there's fraud. He wasn't the only one on the ballot. There are people in all 50 states that were on the ballot. None of them are saying it's. I mean, this whole thing's just ludicrous. It really is. They're not complaining. Some of them lost. Some of the Republicans lost. They're not saying it yet. It's the same freaking ballot, but I won't get into it. All right. We're going to. Oh, it's not good. I will play this video. And these are the opinions of various people who are Black, brown, and indigenous. Uh-oh, we got a call. Hello. Welcome to the show. Hi. What's up? Thanks for calling in.
It's the Colonel.
Don. Hello. Oh my goodness. Nice to have you. What's going on?
I was listening to your discussion, and I'm sorry I had to say a little something.
Don't be sorry, as long as it's telling us we're great. Just kidding.
One of the troubling things that's going on is that the January 6th participants are actually winning in the Republican primaries. So despite the hearings that are going on that are making it flagrantly clear that the truth is being shed to light.
Absolutely.
These people that are still in denial and still in subterfuge of what should be the democratic process are still creating anarchistic platforms people are actually believing and buying into still, in spite of the light of day being shined on the atrocities that were committed on that day. So this is an extremely troubling people that are still in denial vehemently, emotionally, passionately, with regard to something that is an absolute, now proven falsehood with regard to all of their platforms, the videos that have been released, all of the information, all of the testimony. The last hearing was full of all Republicans flagrantly showing that I can't even say the title, the fraudulent POTUS, close as I can get.
Him.
Him, okay, that's good. Was aware of the facts.
Of course he was.
And still propagated and profited
absolutely
off of the big lie. This is an absolute outrage to what this nation is supposed to stand for.
Yeah, he's a con man.
Ms. Anastasia, I heard that you served in the military. Obviously, I did too for quite a long time, under all different kinds of administrations. And this is flagrantly and blatantly just repugnant. And I'm really, really troubled by all of what's going on. You guys have made some really excellent points this evening under the things that are transpiring. And it's very, very troubling that we have a situation like this that is not just ongoing, but increasing in the intensity of the wrongfulness that is being propagated.
He's not in office
throughout.
He's not even in office, and they're following
this entire situation. So I'm very troubled by all of this. The gun violence, they're still protecting the manufacturers, the lack of laws, and the misinformation is horrible. When we talk about defunding the police, it's not getting rid of the police. It's trying to retrain the police and to augment them with counselors. The problem that the first response is deadly force. It's not protect and serve, it's comply or die.
Militarization.
And instead of walking the process of, you have a billy club, you have mace, you have pepper spray, you have all of these different, you have stun guns, you have all of these different things. Why is all of that being leapfrogged into just deadly force right away? That is what people should really be talking about. Not defunding, but reorganizing, retraining, augmenting with different concepts. It should not be a see snake, kill snake, see spot run response where deadly force is the only option. That's just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I couldn't agree with you more. The militarization is out of control, and I don't know where to start.
It's way out of control. Yes, it's way out of control. And as someone who has been in harm's way, I think it's absolutely ridiculous that is the singular option that we see, regardless of the situation. There seems to be no compassion, no sensitivity, no understanding, no situational awareness with regard to what is going on and what the proper level of response should be in each individual situation. So I could go on and on, but I wanted to at least address that point because it's obviously very, very troubling with all of the January 6th hearings and a group still being in total denial of what's going on. I mean, the fraudulent stuff that he has done with regard to the millions of dollars that have been written,
they don't
based
care.
on
it's
absolute flagrant untruth. I'm hoping that Merrick Garland is taking copious notes and getting the FBI all totally organized and focused. I know you're shaking your head because you're saying that's not happening.
No,
but
my breath,
it's what
my
should be
friend.
happening.
Absolutely.
We all know what should be happening. We're all frustrated because we know what is not happening.
Yeah, this is
And that's extremely frustrating.
the constitutional
Anyway,
crisis.
I know you.
Don, just really
I
quickly.
know you wanted to get to your video and a few other
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
I could go on a lot of different topics that you guys are talking about and eloquently putting forward in front of people's top of mind, so that they can process through these issues and understand that we have a terrible malignancy that must be accepted in proper fashion in order for democracy to thrive for all.
Yep. Well, thank
so
you.
I will end on that note for now, even though I could have gone on several other different topics, as you know.
It is wonderful to have you.
Thank you so much for the platform that you provide, and thank you, ladies, for articulating the issues that need to be brought to justice.
Well, you're wonderful.
And
Thank
to
you
the light
so
of
much.
all of those that are.
Great to have you. Always.
Kim,
Thanks for having me.
No problem. You too, sir. So first of all, I wanted to say to Colonel, thank you for your service. The second thing that I was going to say is that when we're talking about training the police and doing all of these things, the fact of the matter is the system is working as it's supposed to. So it's not that they need, you understand what I'm saying? Like, that is what they're supposed to be doing. Anyway, the second thing about it is, if we were in Iraq, Afghanistan, any other country, right? And I or any of my soldiers would treat combatants like they treat people here, we would be in Leavenworth.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
we would
absolutely.
Be in and right. The issue is, people are saying, "Oh my God, it's right? It's messaging. It's messaging." No, what it is that white people have given manufactured consent.
It's impunity
because Black people are bad. Period. Now, this is the thing, right? Colonel brought up the FBI. Let's be clear about who the FBI and the CIA are. And those same people that was at the January 6th terrorist act are in the FBI, are in the CIA, and they're not going to investigate themselves. This is the same reason why they don't want to investigate the police, because you wouldn't have a police force, period.
Right. The subcultures that we call police and FBI are entrenched with these people because our entire society is. It is. The whole damn system needs an attitude. Yeah, Ronald, that's a nice way to put it. It really is. If you are watching right now, and if you're new, please, we're thrilled to have you. We're going to have a shorter show than we usually do tonight because of me. But if you believe, like I do, that it is way past time, like can't even talk about that, for white folks to take racial responsibility and help dismantle a system, not to be heroes, not to be, getting our face on social media, but because it's the right thing to do, and it's called acting human. Please consider subscribing to one of my many platforms. Okay, I'm done. Let's watch. Okay, this video coming up. Do you want to say anything else, Anna? This video.
You said it all.
Thank you. This video is on the topic for tonight, and it's all the little details. And after the video, I'd love to hear examples. And after the video, you had said you were willing to maybe talk about one that you have. I can talk a little bit, vicariously, of course. But if there are things, as a Black or brown or indigenous person or a person of mixed race that you do, and it's just something you do to make sure you survive in a society like this, let me know. And these are some examples. So we're going to switch over to the vid. I just made this because it was perfect for white folks who are possibly new, and they need to understand the depth of the systemic racism by understanding our history, and it's a lifetime commitment. So I will shut up for 1 minute, and we will do this. In this BuzzFeed article dated April 2022, Black people shared the rules they follow that most white people don't know a thing about. These rules could mean the difference between life and death. One person said, no matter how angry you get, remain calm. If you raise your voice even just a little, regardless of what you say or how you say it, you are instantly labeled the angry Black woman and judged wrongly, even when you're right. One person said, my mother taught me to always ask for a bag and a receipt, no matter how small the purchase, or you could be accused of stealing. One woman said, as a Black woman in a predominantly white area, I make a point of approaching staff first in stores when I walk in. I ask an innocuous question in a friendly, high-pitched voice, even if I don't need anything. They seem to feel safer around me and do not follow me around when I do that. One woman said, as a Black woman, I usually keep my college jacket in the car. If I have to go to the emergency room, I receive better treatment if doctors see that I have a higher education. The person said, I'm from Louisiana, where we still have sundown towns. Avoid them at all costs. But if you have to pass through at night, make sure you have a full tank of gas and that you do not stop for anything. One man said, I'm a 50-year-old Black man who lives in a 98% white neighborhood. I don't go for walks alone ever. I don't trust the level of suspicion that white residents have regarding my presence. For example, when kids of color visit our neighborhood to do door-to-door sales, someone usually posts their presence in the neighborhood association Facebook page. So at least I make sure I'm walking my dog, or better yet, walking with my spouse. One person said, never ever put your hands in your pockets while walking around a store. If you don't want to give them a reason to follow you around or call the police, your hands need to be visible at all times. One man said, as a Black man, never get into an elevator with a woman alone. Always wait for the next one. One person said, something I know I have to be careful in public as a person mixed with Black and white is remembering which parent I'm with and how to act. This is called code switching. I have to make sure I act okay so I'm not labeled as ghetto with my mom or whitewashed with my dad. One person said, no matter how cold or windy it is outside, my hood stays off and my earbuds or headphones stay off my ears. One man said, as a Black man who loves hip hop, I often have to censor the music that I listen to so I won't be judged as a thug. One man said, as a Black man, if there's a white woman in line, you stand back far enough so you can't touch her by mistake or be accused of touching her. One man said, knowing that I'll be followed when shopping in high-end stores, I have product-related questions prepared for when they invariably ask me if I need assistance. Replying with, no thank you, I'm just browsing, makes their suspicion jump, and suddenly I have an unofficial entourage. I'm a college-educated Black man about to turn 40, but I still need to play these silly sort of games. It can be very exhausting. One woman said, as a Black woman who works a swing shift and gets home from work at 11 p.m., I don't take off my badge until I get inside my garage. I need to have a layer of protection to prove I'm not up to no good if I do get pulled over. One person said, when meeting with executives or high-ranking officials where appropriate attire would be business casual for others, I wore full business attire. I found when I dress more formally, I receive more eye contact, head nodding, and enthusiasm during conversations. This happens consistently. One person said, I work in a hospital. Anytime I get a patient out of bed and they ask me to move their purse, I make sure it remains in their sight as I move it. I also hope that it's a room with a camera, just in case any discrepancies. Black, brown, Indigenous, or African-American person, are there any routines such as these that you do that most white people wouldn't know?
Yes. You're muted, sweetie.
Good. Am I back yet?
Yes, you got it.
Okay. Yeah, you didn't have to listen to that spiel, but yeah, relate to anything that they're saying?
I mean, I can relate to all of it. The simple fact of the matter is, I would wear my uniform. If I was driving home, I would definitely wear my uniform all the time. I can remember a time, like you see what Dennis said, I will not go into the Amazon Fresh store with him at all. It's not gonna happen. When I came back from Iraq, I was followed in a Kohl's. And it's like, are
Wow.
you serious, bro? Yeah, I had just came. We was stationed at Fort Hood,
Mhm.
and we had just came back from Iraq. And I was with my kid, I was with my aunt, and she's an older woman, and this white woman was following us. And we're like, first of all, I just came back from Iraq. I could buy you in this damn store right about now. But there's certain things that I am just not gonna do. When we were in Mississippi, I told my husband, I am not going into any of these white spaces anymore because I don't trust none of these people around me at all. So you have to be on like all the time, all the time. The
Like hyper vigilant,
school
like ready and on. Is that what you're talking about? Like
every time, like the schools.
exhausting, I bet. I mean, that's just
Yeah, it is exhausting. They say black women on the inside age 2 years more than white women. And because even though people say black don't crack, but you just don't see it.
the stress alone. Oh my God.
Hypertension, stress, high, you know what I'm saying? These
Absolutely.
diabetes, all of these things are residuals of systematic racism. But the thing about it is, like I said, my kids going to school. I go up there and let them know I am a housewife. So I don't work. So I can be up here. You know, just so you know, don't play with these two.
Right. So that's something that
Yeah,
a lot of white
don't
jokes.
play with these two. And then even with my husband, we have a system that we use. I literally, if it's a white person, he deals with them. There's no conversation with that.
Mhm.
He just knows, gather your people, gather your people, and I shouldn't have to say anything. And if it's a black person and something is going on, I'll deal with it. But yeah,
Yeah.
all of it, everything that they said, I have done every last one of them. And even if I can afford what's in the store, I will not go in the store.
No, it's the principle of it's the principle. It's you
I'm
can't
not going to go in there.
you can't support a racist store or
Nope.
you just can't.
Nope.
You just can't. I
I
mean,
won't even go in there. And a story I can tell you is when my twins were about 5 years old. And it was I was dressing them up. One was gonna be Sacagawea, the other one was dressed up as King Tut's wife, right?
oh wow, that's cool.
Right. And so what, and it was a school project. They had to pretend that, and so, my daughter, the youngest one, had picked up a bow. It was just a bow, like a, Christmas bow, put it in her pocket
Oh,
and then gave it to me. And I was like, Gabby, don't ever do that again. You know, and I scared her.
mhm.
But the reason why I had to do not do, and we were in Alaska. Don't do that because my
Mhm.
oldest daughter, Rage, we were in Germany and she stole some gum, and I took her to, yeah, that's what kids do, and I took her to the
That's what
manager.
kids they don't know.
Right, I took her to the manager, like, hey, this kid was stealing. But it wasn't to humiliate her. It was to, in a twisted sense, teach her
Press
you can't do
upon her.
things, but
What we
it's
always
generational
we talk
trauma.
about in my household we often spoken of the idea that if you're an enslaved human being and your child gets out of line, it's not just a problem, it's their life. They could be taken away,
Right.
murdered, raped, killed, sold.
Yes.
It's so, the it it kind of, yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's not a joke.
Right.
And we have so much, empirical data that shows that black children are less nurtured, black children are adultified. I dealt with a situation like that when I was in Mississippi. It was a 14-year-old boy that was shot. And they lied to the press saying he was a man.
They always say man when it's a black child. Always say
but
man.
if it's a grown white man, like
Boy.
but yeah, boys will be boys, and they infantilize white men.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
it's really bad. There's a lot of stuff that people do to. I have to say, I mean, I'm even as a white person living this privileged life. When my little baby daughter was really young, okay, let's just say all three of my kids once in a while would throw a tantrum, right? It's what you do. It's your job when you're a kid.
Right.
And what I do, because I know what to do, is I ignore the behavior, and they're trying to make a scene, but with my little one, not with my youngest. No way. No
right.
way. Because it was different. I knew how people looked at it. I knew how they looked upon her, and it's not fair, but I was scared to let her just do her thing.
Right. So
I was scared. I had to do differently.
Right. And I seen that today. It was a little white child, and she was just wilding out at the Wegmans, right? Mm-hmm. And I was just looking, and the mother was like walking. You always see it. These little white kids just doing the most. And your kids, the horrible thing about that is your kid wants to play too. They want to be children.
Right, but they can't.
They can't. Because if I let you get just like the little girl, I think she was about 9 to 10 years old. And these two white men dragged her in a bathroom, because what happened was they were in Las Vegas. Do you remember that? And they dragged her in the bathroom.
Yes. Oh God, yes, that little child.
Remember that? And the both of them stayed outside and knew what the guy was doing inside there. Killed her.
Killed the child. And the brother was watching there, and yeah.
Right. And the other one was like, why should I be charged with murder? I didn't do anything. I just let him rape and murder a child.
They just held the door, made sure.
Right.
Talk about not taking responsibility. That's unconscionable.
Right. But again, he got off on it. Because in this, like in Germany, you have a good Samaritan law. If you don't help, you're going to jail. We have a situation.
The opposite.
Right. Cops constitutionally do not have to help the people that pay for them, pay their salaries.
In fact, they can kill the people who called them if they want and get off.
Right. Can I just say this? A friend of mine wrote me this.
Absolutely.
He said it's a good conversation and some great talking points. The colonel made some valid points. One of the biggest issues with the police is that they are no longer connected to the community they police.
So true.
When I was younger, I remember police officers walking their beat and knowing everyone on the route. Now the police just ride around their vehicle for their entire shifts. As a former Army leader and police, I vowed to serve and protect and remain connected to my community. Police are so detached that they do not understand the cultures of the neighborhoods they police. The thing about it is, most of the police officers do not live
right
where they work.
Mm-hmm.
So they have, like he said, there's no connection. They have no, it's all about keeping the inmates in the jail.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Yeah. That's what my job is.
Yeah. It's really a whole nother talk. Do you want to add anything else to anything that you do? I have to say I'm more cognizant of my child, the way she dresses, the way, if she's cleanly, if she's more, and it's not fair. They're big kids now. My two tummy babies, I give them, I was that mother. Okay. Sorry. I took them shopping all the time. I didn't have babysitters. I had them. And if they wanted to play bounce a ball a little bit, I'd let them. And, so they got looks, but I didn't care. But let me tell you, it's a little different with my third child. And that's sick.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah.
Kids being kids.
Yeah.
Nope. Benefit of the doubt for my white kids, not for my child. And that is
so Dennis, sorry to interrupt, but Dennis put up there, wasn't there a black guy who got charged for murder for his friend that the cop killed? So a white man holding the door gets off, but a black man watches his friend get killed by the cops, and he's charged. So what he's talking about is these two. I don't even think they were men. They were young boys, and what happened was they were in the middle of, I guess, a robbery or something. The cop killed the one guy. They charged the other guy with murder, not the cop. Because basically they're saying that.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, remember that? Yes. And that's not the only time. I've seen situations.
No, I remember that.
Where
impunity. They have impunity. And now at the border, sorry, I'm interrupting. I'm like,
no, you're not. Go ahead.
At the border now, it's going to be a goddamn free for all. Is what it's going to be.
Yeah, definitely.
Mr. Evans, my dad once told me about how disconnected police are to the communities. Police from a conversation he had with an ex-com. He ended up hating the people of every area he worked. Yeah, it's total disconnect. Yep. Yeah. Totally. I mean, among many billions of other, how police are the whole. Don't even get me started. But yes,
this is my whole thing. You know, I don't trust the cops. None of them. I don't care if we're related.
Don't know who's who. You don't know who's going to do something.
Right, exactly. And the reason why is just like with white people. I know it's not all white people. I know it's not all cops. But I don't know if I'm going to roll up on a Derek Chauvin.
Right.
I don't know that. I'm pretty sure George Floyd didn't know that. I'm pretty sure Tatiana Jefferson didn't know. You know what I'm saying? So you're expecting me to just be like, oh, well, no.
How many times do you see your fellow humans be and murdered and harmed and maimed before you don't trust any of them?
Nope.
Not one bit.
Not one bit.
No. But I'm going to be the rude ogre who says it is time to say goodnight because I'm a sleepy woman. Anastasia, this was an incredible conversation. I appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you, my love.
This is really tough stuff. It doesn't get much. I'll read Mr. Evans back. If he was made the police a predominantly Hispanic area, he hated Hispanics. His beat became a black area, he hated black people. It's like being a cop gives you a sense of disdain for people. Yeah, it's, you know what? Psychologically, it kind of makes sense. It's really, there's some mental, psychological crap going on. Big time. There's a lot going on. It's complicated. Mr. Evans Black, I hear you. I get it.
But when is he gonna start hating white people?
Yeah,
I'm just asking. When?
Put him in a white area. I don't. It's.
And there it is.
Yeah. All right. Well, everyone, stay safe out there. Can't thank you enough for being here, and thank you to my sweet co-host.
Love you. Good night, y'all. Get in some good trouble.
Yep. Good night, everybody.